You're listening to Coffee Break Flight Instruction by MzeroA.com. Flight train tips in 15 minutes or less.
Hey everyone, Jason Shapper here of MzeroA.com alongside a good friend and world famous Uncle Larry Diamond. You're listening to Coffee Break Flight Instruction, flight training tips in 15 minutes or less. Today's topic is with iPads and tablets really taking over the cockpit. Is paper still useful to even carry? Why bother? Larry, what are your thoughts on that?
Um, well, what happens if they break? But I'm so old school, of course, because I got taught by Orville and Wilbur. We just had the printing press was just invented. So I have current charts, I have current plates, and what I do is actually off of AOPA. I said it very well that time.
Yes, you did.
That I get all my approach plates, of course, according to the winds. When I look at to see where the winds are coming from, I do every single possible approach plate, and I have it on. And I have this little $5 clip that I have off of the yoke, and I have the big plates because my eyes are a little bit older than everybody else's, and I do have the iPad sitting there. I also have the GPS, but I do not go to any flight without paper in hand. Until they stop completely making paper and I can't go on to the internet and print my charts or print anything. Even going on AirNav, I'm still going to print them no matter what. And so I use paper all the time. Paper is going to be my backup. Paper really, in my opinion, is like my primary, and I'm kind of using the technology as just to make sure that the paper is saying what the iPad is saying or what the GPS is saying, even though GPS is kind of going to rule out. But I always have paper. Every single one of my students has the kneeboard printout based on what airport. We were flying to Lansing today. We got kind of like crosswind out. But still, Grant, my student, had on his kneeboard, he had the airport diagram. On his kneeboard, he had even an approach. I always tell him to take the approach so we know who to call, what the approach control is going to be. And especially the airport diagram is really, really important because you get into a little busier airport, and of course what they're going to say, get off at Alpha, go to Bravo, go to X-ray, then go to Yankee, and you're going to have absolutely no clue. So paper has saved my butt multiple times when I go into some Class C airports, even Class D airports that used to be maybe Class B or Class C. But that's definitely the one thing I have, either on the kneeboard printout or on the specific airport diagram. I always use paper. I mean, I have so much paper, I probably killed at least 14 forests here in Michigan. But even today, I still collect them. I still have them. They're not current. But
Yeah.
it's kind of like hard to give up. Even my sectionals, I always have both my sectional and my kneeboard paper, and I have my IFR plates. They're always up there. And I feel a lot more comfortable with that, and it's always worked, and I think it's very safe. So paper will never go until they take away all my paper.
You will always find a sectional, a low en route, and my Florida approach plate book in the airplane. I'm not saying I carry it with me on my flight bag everywhere, but it stays in the back seat pocket of the airplane, and that's just where it stays. When it's no longer current, I really don't throw them out. I kind of like to save stuff like that. Maybe I'm a hoarder. I don't know what it is, but I like to see if approaches have changed over time. I'm weird, I guess. But I always have a paper backup, and it's so funny. Literally today, Larry, I was flying, and I sent you a picture of what I was flying. It's G1000 out. He's got his iPad. I've got my iPad. We looked like Back to the Future flying. Like we were super cool. At least I thought we were super cool. I use the iPad for situational awareness primarily. But here's the story. We were flying today. I had it mounted on the yoke. I'm not a big fan of yoke mounts. We are flying with that. We're coming out. We're shooting the GPS 1.8 into a beautiful day. Not a cloud in the sky today. Shooting that approach, and I overlaid the approach on my map, which is pretty cool. And then I was able to flip the approach to how we were coming in. So I'm coming into 1.8, and I'm coming from the south. So you can picture this big round thing I have to do, right? So I overlaid the approach plate, Larry, going into Salmu, I believe was the approach. By the way, who names those? And how do I talk to that committee? Because Jason is 5 letters. It would fit perfectly on any final approach fix. But regardless, so is Larry. We could have the Larry fix. I overlaid the approach, so the approach plate, let me find a piece of paper here. The approach plate was like this on our thing as I'm coming in. So I'm thinking, okay, we're about 15 miles out. I say, Tim, let's go ahead and brief that approach. Well, we both got our iPads the same way, and the plate is upside down because it's oriented to how we're approaching. So we're both going like this. All right, our frequency is 1. And we're going, well, we flipped it back over and everything else. But I don't like north up. I like my track up. So we had to flip the approach plate around and then think backwards as to how it's cool, but at the same time, I found myself reaching around in the seat back pocket going, okay, Tim, now brief the approach to me. Here we are. We've got, it's not an actual G1000. It's the Garmin 600, the new 650. If it's Garmin has it, Tim has it in the airplane, and 2 iPads, and we both found ourselves looking at the paper. And I know a lot about iPads. I do a lot of iPad flying, but sometimes I like to fall back on that paper. It's just easiest, and sometimes we try to get too fancy, like overlaying my approach plate onto my low-end route chart, which just, was it cool? Sure, until I came to brief the approach, I had to be hanging from the ceiling to be able to do it. So, long story short, absolutely. I always have paper in the cockpit. It's a must, and that kind of sums that up. Larry, any final thoughts on that? Or are you cool?
Well, the last time I flew down to Fort Wayne, Indiana to give a presentation on a novel oral anticoagulant. So guess what the pilot had? Huh. They had the paper right in front of them with their iPad on their kind of like knee.
Yeah.
What do you think they were doing? They were looking over their paper charts.
Yeah.
Just going over the approach and stuff like that. I mean, just the airport diagram alone. They were using their iPad. They had it put in the same place where I have mine on my little Archer 3.
Yep, you are correct. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning into Coffee Break Flight Instruction. On behalf of myself, world-famous Uncle Larry, the entire MzeroA.com team here, I hope you really enjoyed this. Please subscribe in iTunes, totally free. That way you'll never miss another episode of Coffee Break Flight Instruction. Enjoy the rest of your day, and most importantly, remember that a good pilot is always learning. Have a great day, guys. See ya.